Various factories are leaving us because they cannot compete due to high electricity prices, which are driven up by demanding climate targets. The second fundamental problem we have is that we lack leadership. We do not have a true leader in the European Union. Sometimes I use the expression that we act like a flock of sheep without a shepherd. In the past, we had strong personalities. Even though you are young and have other concerns, surely you have heard the name Merkel, the former federal chancellor of Germany. Surely you have heard the name Sarkozy, the French president. Those were personalities who, when they met before a European Union summit, would say, "This will be the direction. This is the way we will go." And it worked. We did not like it very much, because we did not consider it very sovereign if we were waiting for what the French and Germans would tell us. But today, there is no one to tell us anything. I was at a meeting in Paris a few weeks ago with French President Macron, and I was convincing him, "Emmanuel, you must take the lead." I spoke to the German federal chancellor, "You must take over the leadership of the EU. Someone has to pull the union forward and must say, this is what we are going to do because this is right." So, we are missing leadership. Our economy is falling apart. If we do not snap out of it, Europe will turn into such a cultural open-air museum that wealthy Chinese tourists will come here just to look at us, visit museums, and admire how nice it is here in terms of culture and history. But we thought, and we still think, that Europe should be the best place to live and work. However, we must do a great deal to achieve that. Although today there are attempts again to persuade countries that it is necessary to take in migrants, migration continues to be a huge challenge for the European Union. A huge challenge. Since I have been in politics for a very long time, I have had the opportunity to meet all sorts of interesting people. For example, I negotiated with a man named Gaddafi. Perhaps that name means something to you, the Libyan leader Gaddafi. He was, understandably, a dictator, but despite his being a dictator, Libya worked. Today, the dictator is gone because they murdered him, and Libya does not work. It simply does not exist. And even back then, Gaddafi told me, "Prime Minister, cooperate with me, with Libya. We are in the north of Africa. If you do not cooperate with me on migration issues, illegal migration, Europe will turn black." And he was absolutely right. We must stop this migration where it originates, in the countries from which these people are leaving for Europe. Once they are here, it is too late. That was Merkel's biggest mistake when she said, "We welcome you all. Come. Be our guests." Today, there are areas in certain cities, including Brussels, which is the capital of Europe, all the European institutions are there, where you cannot go. We have a different opinion on many things concerning the EU. I have a different opinion, for example, on Gaza. I think the Union should have been tougher. If today we are already preparing the 20th sanctions package against Russia for Ukraine, then we must state that significantly more civilians have died in Gaza in a few months than over several years in Ukraine, yet we are unable to apply the same standard to others. I think Ukraine will still cause us all a lot of pain. Allow me one figure. I am constantly arguing about this. It is stated with joy that there is a month in which 20,000 Russian soldiers fall. So I ask, okay, if 20,000 Russian soldiers fall, probably just as many Ukrainian soldiers fall, too. At a minimum. So that is 40,000 a month. They are talking about those killed. They are not talking about the wounded. And they are not talking about others who are taken out of combat. I always had an A in math. If it is 40,000 a month, then in 12 months, dear friends, that is 480,000 dead people. And where do we stand? What has changed? The Russians are advancing. They are making increasingly large territorial gains. Ukraine is suffering, and everyone supports it because they think Russia will be weakened through the war in Ukraine. Simply nonsense. That is where our strength lies, because we do not have an army, we do not have tanks, we do not have aircraft in such numbers that we could settle our own affairs. Our strength lies in having the courage to call a spade and in demanding strict adherence to international law. That is the only thing we can do. And it is in this spirit that I also try to act within international politics. The European Union must break away from American influence, because looking back over the last few years, we just waited to see what the American administration would say and then we repeated it. However, that primarily requires solving our security problem. If the United States makes a definitive decision and says they will not provide protection to Europe, because today they do provide it, to a certain extent.
25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.